Welcome everyone. This is our week 1 webinar for our MOSOMELT CMOOC. So we've moved on from our CMOT CMOOC earlier in the year to MOSOMELT. And if you haven't joined us before, we're not sure what MOSOMELT stands for. It's Mobile Social Media Learning Technologies. And it's not a toasted cheese sandwich. Although that's, sounds quite yummy at this time of morning. Today we have with us discussing week 1 and basically the setup of the CMOOC, getting people underway and on board. We have Dr. Raj.
Hello.
Raj, you're starting to get a little bit grey there. You're getting older all of a sudden, or maybe we've just been, working you too hard. Yeah. Yeah. And we have Lisa all the way from just around the corner from me. And Lisa's got a microphone off, but that's okay. And we have Neil.
Good morning.
Neil all the way from Japan once again.
Yeah, I'm grey too.
I think it's a bit of a common theme. Lisa's probably grey as well, but we won't mention that. And I don't have much of the ginger left at all. So welcome everyone. Great to have you all on board. And Lisa, something's gone wrong with your mic because we can't hear you, but I'm sure you'll be able to work that out. Cool. Week 1, really, it's just about getting people on board, setting them up, getting them signed up to our communication channels, which really there's basically 3 of them, which is Twitter. And for a lot of people, perhaps it's the first time they've used Twitter, so they might be a little bit anxious about that and being open in the public. But it's an asynchronous tool, which works really well, particularly when we're trying to get people all around the world to join us. So we do have a few people from the UK, and obviously we've got people from Japan, and there is a significant time difference, and so an asynchronous communication tool works really well for that. Once you start using something like Twitter, you also find there are global communities of people, communities of practice, effectively sharing ideas, and it's a great sharing platform, particularly in education. And they tend to be very professional about what they share. Although, people do share photos of pizzas, if known to, and good stuff like that. Pizzas and coffee are also good things to share. So Twitter, there's also our discussion forum. We're using Moodle for that, a Moodle install. And I think some people perhaps have been having a little bit of an issue with logging in there, mainly because Moodle has got a little bit security conscious, and so you need to choose a relatively secure password. So for some people, I think their normal password is probably not secure enough. So Moodle does require that it has alphanumeric, it has at least one uppercase letter, that it has a special character. So that might be an underscore or an asterisk, an and symbol or something like that, and at least one numeral in your password. So if your password doesn't have that, you're not going to be able to create your new password in Moodle. It won't let you. So that's perhaps an issue for some people, is actually creating a new password, which is a bit more secure that they can remember as well. And really our third tool is our WordPress site. It's our hub where everything is located and happens. So if you want to find out what we're looking at each week, make sure you visit the WordPress site, mosomelt.wordpress.com. So I'll just quickly screen share just to remind people of those. And then we're just going to open up to discussion, really. So let's go and find the right screen to share. Okay. Present to everyone. So you should be seeing, hopefully, my Safari window now. And there's the MOSOMELT WordPress site. So it's mosomelt.wordpress.com. You can see we're week 1, and basically, just as we've been saying, looking at setting up the communication tools. So an easy way to get into the discussion forum is to use the Moodle mobile app. You can download that. We also recommend that you perhaps use the mobile WordPress app and the mobile Twitter app, just to make your life a bit easier, because then they save your password and it's easy to use those on the go. So when you've got some downtime, you can check the messages on the forum, you can post, You can do a tweet. You can share some information. And a helpful tip is in the sharing settings of your WordPress blog. If you link your Twitter account, whenever you do a blog post, there will auto tweet to your account. So if you use #MOSOMELT in the title of your post on WordPress, it will then auto tweet with that in the hashtag. It will make it easy for the community to be able to follow what you're doing. And so that's a way of targeting information as well. So Neil, what do you like at Twitter? Are you much of a Twitterer, or have you got into it much? Or
well, I joined Twitter because of the CMOOC, and I did tweet. I have mainly done 20 tweets in like the month since I joined. And then I must admit, in the last week or two, when I'm not doing that CMOOC, I haven't felt like the need to tweet. I was going to ask you and fellow participants if there are any particular people or organisations that you would suggest following connected to online learning and education. Because I have, you do kind of, they emerge when you put a hashtag, and then that somehow links to another organization. So they do come up, but it'd be good to have recommendations from others as to who to follow or what to follow.
I think that's a good way to get into it, is follow someone that's recommended by someone you trust. So I guess part of the key for me, when Twitter started making sense for me, was at conferences, and going to Ask-alike conferences in the Alt C conference in the UK, so particularly the UK ones. So I'd done a few online conferences with JISC in 2006 sort of thing, mainly because I couldn't get funding to go, so did everything online. But over the course of about 3 or 4 years, the same sort of people were presenting on these online conferences. So you got to know them, and then there's discussion forums, and so you'd start sharing some stuff and get interested in each other's work, and so sort of like this virtual community practice. And then when I finally managed to actually get to the UK to my first Alt C conference in 2011, I think it was just really interesting to finally actually meet face to face all these people that I'd known for 4 or 5 years on Twitter. Or via the online discussion forums, and put a real face to them, and vice versa. And so it felt like, here's this whole community that I already knew, but I'd only actually met them face to face that first time. And I'm particularly, just as a bit of a interesting story, so the mLearn conferences, because my PhD research was in mobile learning, I went to the Mobile Learning Conference 2008 in Telford in the UK. It's a pretty exciting place. You get to see Iron Bridge. It's
Tom,
right on the.
You really seek out the great places in England. Coventry,
right on the river there. Yeah, all the great places I get to go to. Anyway, so that was my first mLearn conference. Well, actually, my first one was in Sydney, but that was the first one any major distance. And I was sitting in a presentation, and there was a guy down the back making all these really interesting, sort of comments, and it sounded like he really knew what he was talking about. And so I went up to him afterwards and said, "Hi, it'd be nice to brainstorm." And I saw he had Twitter open on his laptop, and he's tweeting, and of course I could see his username, and it was James Clay. I thought, we've been sort of communicating over Twitter and on the online discussion forums for about 4 years, and here you are in person. So, I found it quite powerful, particularly for that international community. So for me, I guess I follow Ask-alike people, I follow Alt people, because they're in a similar sort of situation. They're thinking the same sorts of things. They're interested in the same sorts of things that I am. So, people like Steve Wheeler, James Clay. And then once you start following 1 or 2 people like that, you see who they follow, and perhaps follow 1 or 2 of those as well. So that's kind of how I got into it. What about you, Raj and Lisa?
I think for me personally, I've started using Twitter for almost 2 years now. And in the beginning, it was quite a new territory for me, and it felt felt a little bit odd, to be honest. But I think through Twitter, I have gotten in touch with so many people, especially in higher ed teaching and learning sphere. I am already facilitating and assisting some people, give them feedback on their CMOLT, not only from this group, but from beyond this group as well. There were some people who got in touch with me, so I'm assisting them. I think it's really nice to build that network. And to the contrary belief that you might think that, oh my God, people may be super busy and they may not respond. But on contrary to that, people can be really warm and nice and friendly. And they are very generous in terms of professional support. So that has been my experience so far. So I would very strongly recommend people to follow the strategies which you mentioned, Tom, to build up that network of people within the discipline or with sort of where you see some potential overlaps, and do not hesitate to sort of message them, get in touch with them, and take the conversation further.
Yeah, thanks, Raj. I think one of the I mean, this like any tool, you need to sort of learn how to use it. So some of the etiquette around Twitter, when you're actually having a conversation with someone, because it is asynchronous, you don't get to see that thread linearly. So to indicate to people that you're actually having a conversation with someone else on Twitter, you make sure you put their username in the tweet. So at Lisa Ransom or at Neil Cowie, I can't remember the rest of your Twitter address off by heart, etc., so that people know that it's a conversation, and they're less likely to take it out of context, which you can do with short tweets that are not necessarily linearly connected. The other way of telling people or indicating to people the context is by putting a hashtag into your tweet. So hashtag is a key term. It's like either a search term or various events will have a hashtag. We have a hashtag for our CMOOCs. So for MOSOMELT, it's #MOSOMELT. So then people know, that tweet has got some context or something to do with that event or with that CMOOC or whatever. So it's putting context into something that can be very easily decontextualized. The other key thing with Twitter is you can use it as a one-to-one messaging service, just like a text, by following other people, and if they follow you back, you can then send them a direct message, and that's like a private message. So if you want to communicate more privately, then you use a direct message with individual people, and it's kind of like sending them a really, really quick and short email or text message. And once people are actually used to using Twitter, personally, like I find it the best way for people to grab my attention or to contact me is via a direct message. And Raj just got a nodding, knowing how slick I am with email. But usually I'll reply pretty quickly to a direct message on Twitter because it pops up in front of me, and you go, oh, okay. And then you think about replying. And of course, because you've got limited characters on Twitter, it's just keep nice and quick. You keep it short. Although they did open up about 3 years ago, direct messaging now is pretty much unlimited. But I've very, very seldomly received really, really long direct messages. But you can now for direct messages. So, what I would do, Neil, is I would look at some of the people you're already following and then check out who they're following and sort of, staircase it that way. Find other people, look at their bios on Twitter, see what they say, who they are and what they're interested in. So checking out people's bios is another way as well.
Okay, will do.
I think the way that I got into it was going to conferences where they actually use Twitter. Probably started about 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm thinking, what's the point of this to start off with, and why use it? Why put short things up like that? But the more I've been into it and more I've been connected with like-minded people, it's like, okay, I can use this. And I think it's just getting used to a new technology and to find people who are in your field so that you can share ideas. So yeah, I came across it. Well, not came across it, but I used it at a conference and kind of had to use it to find out what people were saying. But yeah, like you, Neil, I want to find out anybody else who's in my field to try and connect with them and see what other ideas they've got.
Okay.
So I find it personally easier to filter information via Twitter than, say, Facebook messaging. So, you know, you join a Facebook group and you just get inundated with these often inane messages all day long, and it's like, oh, you know, not really interested. So I tend to find people tend to be a little bit more sensitive to what they tweet on Twitter than perhaps what they would share on Facebook messaging, where it's just like this stream of consciousness as such.
Yeah.
But that does vary between users, of course. And
I do like, I now put my notifications on, so if I happen to be on public transport and I see them come up, I was like, oh, actually, that might interest me. Let's go and have a look at that and see what it says. So that's, yeah, so it's kind of not in your face, but it's like, oh, it gets my attention.
Okay. So what I thought I'd also do just briefly is just screen share my phone and show people the interface of the mobile apps in case they haven't set those up, just to show you what they look like. Okay. So this is my phone connected via QuickTime and presenting to everyone. So if I go and find the Twitter app, I've got hundreds of apps on my phone, so I always search for them because I never know where they are. So with the Twitter app, you have the timeline, which is the stream of everything that you're following. And you have the search, where you can search for people, or you can search for hashtags for events. You have your notifications, which is when people mention you or people that you're following do a tweet, they come up there. So you can filter information that way. And then you have your direct messages, which is, as I said before, like a one-to-one, and can be private or are private. So then, of course, with Twitter, you also have, if you go to your profile, which you access by clicking on your icon, you can see how many people you follow, how many are following you. You can create lists of people. So that's a good way of finding people as well, Neil, is some people create lists of, say, educational technologists or Moodle developers, etc., etc. And then they have groups of lists that they can share. I don't think I've got, have I got some? Might have some. People tend to stick me in lists, but I don't tend to make a lot. The other thing that I really like about Twitter is these moments, and moments are a collection of tweets. And the way you collect them is using a hashtag. So what I tend to do with Twitter moments is make a collection of hashtag tweets around events, so like conferences. And so when I come to do a report back about a conference, then I can just collate all the tweets. So I just get into the habit of tweeting stuff throughout a conference, and it gives us a really good indication of the conversations, etc. That was the paramedics. Thank you very much. Actually, there's probably a photo here of Neil somewhere, which is the first time I met Neil, because I think we tweeted that, if I look far enough. But as you can see, there's a fair number of tweets there. Maybe I'll give up.
Can you search in that feed? In the moments feed, can you search
in the moments? Yeah. So when you create a moment,
you're down the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just searching in general. But
yeah.
To create the moment, you do that on your laptop or desktop. I don't think you can do that now.
Okay.
On the mobile anymore. But it just becomes a really nice, simple way of creating a record, particularly of an event, or say, for I'll make a collection around the CMOOC, etc., because we have a hashtag there. So Twitter moments I find quite useful and powerful. It's a really simple way of making an archive of activity. So that's Twitter. The other tools that we're suggesting you use are WordPress. So the WordPress app. These are all free, of course. There are paid third-party apps, but you don't need to use those. So the official WordPress app is like that blue square with the white W in it. It's the WordPress app. Just makes it really easy to post. One of the cool things is that it has stats, so you can check out the stats for your blog as well, and get some insights, which is like, totals, etc. over time. So it's nice to see what sort of activity, see whether people are actually reading your blogs, etc. As you see, I've actually got quite a few blogs, and I can access and switch between them in the app. So there's my own personal blog, which is probably my longest active one. It's been going for quite a while, and so I got quite a few views and visitors there. And then you can also do posts. So you can go to your blog posts, gives you a list of them all, and then to create a new post, it's just the plus at the top, and you start putting in a title and some whatever the post is about, information, and it's very quick to then insert a photo from your photo library on your phone. Video is another story. Video is a paid upgrade. So what I do is I upload all my videos to YouTube, and then I embed the YouTube into my post, and that's free that way. So that's just a URL that you put in from YouTube, and it automatically embeds that video into your post.
There's Lisa.
So you did see me.
Here he is. Yeah, we can see there's
working
the proof.
Working hard. There we go.
So that's the WordPress app. And the other app that we're recommending is the Moodle app. Get into the discussion forum. So the first time you load it up, it'll ask you to sign in to your Moodle site, and you just put the URL, which is community.sotel.nz. And then you'll need to log in with your username and password. It'll give you a whole list of the various communities that are available there. And of course, the one we're currently looking at is MOSOMELT. So you select that, and you should be enrolled in it. You can then see the various posts that are there in the discussion forums. You can see a list of participants, excuse me, so you can contact other people in the CMOOC.
Oh, look, there's Neil.
Yep, and we're not using grades. Neil needs to give himself a photo there. There we go. You get messaging, and you can post to the discussion forums through the app as well. So it just makes life a little bit easier. Okay. So yeah, I think by downloading those free apps, logging into them, signing into them, it just means that then you can be part of this community in your downtime, in your in-between time. Just pull out your phone and away you go, and communicate and update and see what's happening. So that's pretty much the week one. It's really just getting people to be part of the community, to be able to get on board with the tools so that we can actually communicate. And what are we doing tonight, which is actually Friday morning for the UK, we'll be doing another webinar with a few people from the UK. So if anyone wants to join us from New Zealand for that, that'll be tonight at 9:30 p.m. So, instead of going to bed, Raj, come and join us.
Well, if I join you, I'll come in a bundle package with my 2 daughters, and I'm not sure whether that'll be really efficient.
Well, it could be quite.
What are they still doing up at 9:30?
Yeah, I reckon.
Friday night, so they don't have to go to bed early.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks everyone for being part of our discussion. I think we'll sign off there. Are there any, actually, before we do, is there anything anyone wants to talk about, discuss, maybe you got a burning issue that we haven't talked about, or we're finding difficult?
We should highlight that Neil is very close to his CMOLT submission.
Oh, that's right. We were going to. Yeah. Tell us about your CMOLT submission, Neil.
Actually, Raj earlier was talking about that there were some very supportive and generous people, and I think he was very modest in that he didn't include himself in that group, but he is a very supportive and generous giver of advice, and he was. Thank you, Raj. Again, you're very, very helpful to look through my submission, and then the basic advice was add more reflection to the submission. So I've gone through it and tried to add more reflection, and then I think I'm pretty well done. So the deadline is the end of this month. So if Tom or Lisa, if you have any time, over the weekend, just to have a look through and say, yeah, it looks okay, I'll be really grateful. But if you don't have time, I'll just send it off anyway. But perhaps one final look through would be very helpful.
Yeah, sounds good. And how are you going, Lisa?
Yes, going.
We just need to keep on your case.
Yeah, exactly. It will get there. It will get there.
Yeah, yeah.
I very strongly think that the amount of work Lisa has done over the years, it absolutely deserves that recognition. And it's just purely a matter of Lisa finding time from her super duper busy schedule to be able to,
Yeah, exactly.
That has been addressed. Simple words. It's been addressed.
Looking forward to Lisa spending some time on finishing a portfolio.
Yeah, it will happen. It will happen.
Okay. And so Neil, you might end up being number 492, depending on when you get submission in.
That'd be good. Well, I don't mind what number I am. But,
I'm just saying that to reference to Raj, because he's number 491, so he's our latest member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, around 500 would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Get in that 500, the chosen few. Yeah. Hey, thanks everyone. Great to have you all here, and look forward to just discussing and sharing ideas on the CMOOC over the next week as well.
Okay.
Catch you later.
Thanks. Neil,